Hello, lovelies. Today, let's deep dive into some of the universal traits that all empaths possess, and then explore how some of these traits, and indeed the more specific ones to different types of empaths, give you superpowers. We'll first run through some of these universal traits, and I have some oracle cards by Denise Lynn, simply to illustrate. Okay, so blanket statement. Empaths are tuned into others, to the world around them. They are highly sensitive people. Empaths are usually really good listeners. They're good communicators. Others are drawn to you when you're an empath. And you're curious, you're creative, you're genuinely drawn to the world and to the people and the inhabitants of that world. You are, as such, a truth seeker, often a healer. You, with this ability to tune in to the world around you, you just have a real sense of knowing about it. I just know about someone, about a situation, about the state of the world. This tuning in also means that empaths are highly vulnerable to being bombarded and drained and becoming really tired, and can become sick, physically presenting with the overload that's been happening to them. And so too much stimulus, too much media, too many people, things like that will really overwhelm and drain an empath. Because of this cycle that can occur, empaths are often prone to addictive behaviour. This really is the common practice, or the sort of practical solution to the oversensitivity, in the sense that it's just about distracting yourself from it or numbing yourself. So, not something to perhaps beat yourself up about. It's a practical solution to a problem. And finally, empaths are often the quiet leaders of our society. Having that ability to know, for example, gives an empath, that is one of those superpowers. It gives an empath this ability to really be quite decisive and to be drawn in what they know is the right direction, and to be able to empathize with others around them so that they can bring them along with them, or give them the confidence, or what those people might need, for example, to come along to be on a journey, which is what good leadership is about. Building others up and bringing them along, and showing them what is ahead and inspiring them to come with you. Okay, so let's go through some of the actual types of empaths and do a quick sort of reference into how that could give you a superpower. So we'll start with a physical empath. So physical empaths are people who they take on the physical attributes, or they can bring through some sort of physical situation that's going on around them within their physical being. So, wounded healer, they may be, because they're able to get inside, literally get inside this physical aspect of, say they're a healer. So the person or patient sitting in front of them has a physical something happening with their body. That that empath, because they can almost get inside that physical aspect, really deeply, truly understands it. And therefore it gives them a sort of a jump ahead in knowing how to heal that physical wound or ailment. Emotional empaths. So emotional empaths, they attune or receive the emotions from others. Now, it needs to be differentiated between the fact that empaths are all tuned into the world around and are highly sensitive. Because, for example, you may be a physical empath, but not an emotional one. And that means that when you have that patient sitting in front of you, yes, your empathy moves to that physical aspect of that person. And so you truly understand that, but you may not correspondingly feel in tune or know how that person is feeling because of their physical ailment. So there is a real difference. Empathy is not to be confused with being an emotional empath. But if you are an emotional empath, then you really do pick up on the emotions of people around you. And that gives you a superpower, because that gives you the ability to really understand where that person is coming from. Because you can literally feel their emotions, yes, it means that you may be overwhelmed or drained by that person, and so you need to learn how to manage that. But you really do know how to listen and how to offer advice or communicate with that person in a way that really connects with them. This is why people are often drawn to empaths, because the empath just gets them. And this leads us into the intuitive empath. So an intuitive empath will receive intuitive messages. Sometimes people refer to them as being downloads, but it's not that fancy. It's really just a knowing, an intuitive knowing about a situation or a person or a circumstance, a thing. And what that does is that gives the intuitive empath, it's a superpower, because they can almost see past the physical. They can see past what's physically in front of them. It is an energy read as well, and intuitively really sense what is actually really going on. And so they can get to the heart of something very, very quickly and bypass what might be all the other sort of distractions that are happening right in front of them. Then we have the freedom horse, the dream empath, answering the call. I've got all these to illustrate the intuitive empath, actually, because it's that intuitive knowing about what needs to be done and things like that is really a superpower. And walking in beauty, that may also be a physical empath superpower, the ability to, you might be an artist or a creative, the ability to put in physical form the whatever's being absorbed. So translating something into something beautiful in physical form can be a superpower of a physical empath. For example, having that ability. Right, I found the dream card. So a dream empath is someone who, through their dreams, they get messages, they get understandings and knowings. And then this leads us beautifully into a plant empath, just really gets the nuances and needs of the natural world of plants. How would a plant empath superpowers present? Well, a gardener, someone who works in the natural, is drawn to working in the natural world or helps communicate the natural world. We could look at someone like David Attenborough and say he is I would assume undoubtedly a plant and an animal empath. Grandmother Earth, just tuned in, because we also have the Earth empath, who is tuned in not only to plants but to the overall environment of the planet, has that real understanding of where the universal sort of or collective energy of the planet is at, and would be someone who would be able to really talk on behalf of, or fight for, or work for the betterment of all overall. They could really, an earth empath is someone who will really understand. They could be really good at politics, for example, because they can see the trends throughout the world. They understand the collective, what's happening with the collective overall. Warrior of the heart. And my cards are sticking together, which is highly unhelpful. And finally, the animal empath, the David Attenboroughs of our world. He is such a beautiful example, because we can think about the impact that someone like David Attenborough has had in terms of knowing and tuning with animals, and being able to bring through the messages that perhaps those animals have for us around what is really important in the world, about practical ways of living, of being, that are more about what is really true to our hearts and what is really real and what really matters, as opposed to things that may be more constructs of our minds, sort of human-made things such as, power or status, or, accumulating things like that, which actually don't really fulfill us as human beings, but that we think we need to do. So there was a really quick rundown, but these are just a few ideas and insights into how being an empath gives you an edge. When we can experience something, when we truly understand it, that is when we have the ability to step in and work with it in some way. The ability to help others understand, to heal others, to inspire others, to work with whatever it is that we are good at, drawn to, have the empathy with, to make the world a better place. Thank you.